All right, a very warm welcome to the YouTube family. We are reading this book, Don't Believe in Everything You Think. And we are at the chapter 10. If you haven't yet read the other chapters, go back and you can read the older ones. All right, over to you, Kashish. I am pinning you. You can you see the screen? Can you see the book? All right, over to you. You can unmute.
Yeah. Chapter 10, Unconditional Love and Creation. I hope I'm audible. The greatest power that mankind could ever achieve is the power of unconditional love. This is when people love with no limitations, conditions, or boundaries. Tony Green. Unconditional love. I learned about unconditional love from my extraordinary girlfriend, McKenna. For most of my life, I always questioned everything. I had to know the reason behind why things were the way they were. Otherwise, I would go crazy. I couldn't just experience life knowing the meaning and reasoning behind everything. Naturally, as anyone would in a relationship after dating her for about a year, at all the time, I asked McKenna why she loved me. She innocently replied that she didn't know why, she just knew she did. Then she asked me why I loved her, and I listed off dozens of different reasons why. It ranged from her beautiful smile to her adorable laugh, how pure her love, how pure her heart is, and how much she loves her family, how intelligent she is, and the list goes on almost indefinitely. We've been dating for 6 years now, and every few months after that, first time I would ask her why she loved me, and even up until this point, she still says the same thing. I don't know, I just know that I love you a lot. This slightly bothered me for so long because I didn't understand why she didn't know why she loved me. I could list off why 50 reasons of why I loved her, but she couldn't list a few. Even still, throughout the years, I loved her so much, I didn't really mind that she didn't know. I just accepted it and continued to love her anyway because I couldn't help myself. It wasn't until a few months ago that it dawned on me as to why she couldn't think of reasons of why she loved me. I began to question the reasons that I had for why I love McKenna. Then I had an epiphany that changed my life forever. I asked myself, did I love her because of her laugh or because she loves helping other people? What happens if she doesn't laugh one day or doesn't help someone that day? Do I stop loving her? If she doesn't do the things that I said were the reasons that I loved her? I realized that if I create reasons for why I love her, then it makes my love for her conditional to those specific traits or actions. And if she doesn't do them, then I don't love her. This is, of course, not true. In that moment, I had the awe inspiring insight that McKenna couldn't list off reasons of why she loved me because her love for me was unconditional. There were no reasons for why she loved me because if she had reasons, it would mean she only loved me if I were excluding those traits or doing those things that she had in her mind. Her love for me is not based on my mood or what I do. Her love for me goes beyond all reasons and does not come from a place of reciprocity. She does not love me because I love her, nor she is loving me because of what I can do for her. She is experiencing so much love within herself that it is an outpour of abundance of love that she is gifting me unconditionally. Attempting to articulate the feelings of this and where it comes from is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because I'm attempting to describe the indescribable. From this experience, I learned to make my love for McKenna unconditional by not placing reasons or conditions for when I would love her. Because if I did, by default, I place conditions on when I would not love her. This is just so much love. There is so much love in me now because I've experienced it, that there is simply an outpour of unconditional love where I can't help but love her no matter what. This unconditional love doesn't come from external reasons, but comes from within, from the infinite source we all came from. We all are connected to this pure, unconditional love, which is God, the universe, or whichever name you choose to use. The only thing that gets in the way of this is our own thinking, which separates and cuts us off from that unconditional love. Unconditional creation. Unconditional creation is the purest form of creation there is. When something is created from unconditional love, we can't help but to stand there and admire it in awe. Unconditional creation is always innovative, unique, new, captivating, bold, different, revolutionary in its own way. Very few people operate in this space because we always put conditions around what we do or make. For example, whenever we are working to achieve a goal of making more money, we might go and try to create income for ourselves. This is conditional creation because no one wants money just to have money. Most people want money for something else or to be able to use it for another thing they want. By this nature, what they are, this by nature, I'm so sorry, I just got a call. I'm sorry.
No problem. Carry on.
This by nature makes what they are creating conditional. They are only creating this because they want something else out of it. When we create something for someone else, typically we do not enjoy the process of creating because it is always just a means to end, never an end in itself. That is why we always feel like we're chasing, grinding, hustling, trying, and feeling constantly stressed and overwhelmed. Even after we accomplish our goals, we'll only enjoy it for those few seconds, and then we are off to another goal we have to chase because we never actually got what we were looking for. What we're ultimately looking for are feelings. We want more money to get a sense of security and peace. We want to spend time with our family because it makes us feel so much love and joy. We want to do what we love because it gives us a sense of fulfillment inside. These are the ultimately feelings that we are trying to get. But we keep thinking that the goal or object we want will give us those feelings. This idea is inherently flawed because our feelings can only ever be generated from within us, not from external things. External things can prompt us to create the feelings, but ultimately it is us that produces those feelings from within ourselves. Sorry to cut, Aarti. I think there's some urgency. My father-in-law is calling. He never calls. I'm sorry.
Sure,
I'm
sure.
really
Carry
sorry.
on, carry on. No problem, no problem. No problem. I'll take up. I'll take up. What paradoxical, like everything in the duality of life, is that when we create something without conditions or reasons, we actually immediately feel all the positive feelings we want. When we create something without conditions or reasons, we actually immediately feel all of the positive feelings that we want. Beautiful. Let's go ahead. Unconditional creation is creating something without it being for another purpose, but purely to create it because we just want to create it. It's not for money, not for fame, not for love or anything else. We create it simply because we want to create it. This is creation from abundance. When we create from the state, we already feel whole inside, and all of the love we want to feel is what we are feeling in the moment. We can only pursue unconditional creation if we are in the state of non-thinking. Our brains will make us think that it is pointless to do something just simply because we want to, but that is the secret. As soon as we do things for no other reason, we step into the realm of living our life unconditionally. This is when we experience flow, oneness, and direct connection to the universe that or God. Should we go ahead? One more chapter. Chapter 11. What do you do next after experiencing peace, joy, love, fulfillment in the present? Don't think it complicates things, just feel. And if it feels like home, then follow its path. R.M. Drake. If you've been applying the principles in the book, you've most likely been able to find peace through non-thinking. If not, I highly encourage you to remember that all of our negative feelings come from our thinking. All you have to do is become aware of that fact, which will settle the thinking, just like the debris settling the dirty water. Once you see that it is just your thinking and that there's nothing to be afraid of, then you will experience true peace in your life in the present. Once you have been able to experience peace, you might be unsure as to what to do next. At this point in time, you may be experiencing worry, anxiety, doubt, and many things. Worry, anxiety, and doubt. Many of my clients, including myself, began to wonder if they lost their edge and drive to do anything in the world. Don't worry. This is all normal and a part of the process of awakening. You're already learned the hardest part, which is to practice non-thinking and preventing your negative thinking from controlling your life. The reason why we feel worried, anxiety, and doubt after we've experienced peace is because we have just let go of everything we thought we knew in the world. What actually happened was the death of the personal ego. The natural consequence is that once the personal ego is threatened, it will do everything in its power to regain control over your life again. Beautiful. The ego is something that we can't quite get rid of forever, which is why even after you experience peace, there may be feelings of doubt, worry, anxiety coming up. It is in this moment that the ego thinking will come back up to attempt to reclaim your throne. But worry not, because you've already learned how you can quickly dismantle your ego, your thinking, by remembering that your thinking is the only cause of your negative feeling. The point is to not try to prevent your thinking from ever entering your mind, but to shorten the time that it takes for you to remember that it is just your thinking that's causing the negative emotions. It's impossible to prevent thinking from happening because it's so ingrained in us. For example, it's in our human nature that when we suddenly see that we are about to step on a venomous snake on our path, we will freak out. But when you realize that it's just a piece of rope, you will see through the illusion, knowing that your thinking is what caused you to become afraid, and you resume your peaceful walk on the beautiful trail. We can't prevent the initial reaction, but we can always remember the truth and return to the natural state of peace. And that's all that matters. Another reason that we may feel anxiety, worry, and doubt once we experience peace is because we were using a colossal amount of energy when we were thinking all of the time. Most people spend the majority of their day in a state of stress, that is thinking, which consumes enormous amounts of energy. When we stop thinking, this energy you used to use to think is now freed up, but it hasn't been directed anywhere yet. And what happens is we return to our old patterns of putting that energy back into thinking because that is how we were conditioned. What we can do is, in this case, to channel the newfound energy into our goals of inspiration. This is the cure and intervention of preventing this energy from going back into overthinking. For this to work, make sure that you've spent some time creating your goals out of inspiration versus desperation and having it top of mind so that you can channel all of your energy towards it once you experience this phenomena. If you have any goals of desperation in your mind, then directing energy towards it will only perpetuate the thinking and negative feelings. What tends to help many people in this stage is to also have an activation ritual. An activation ritual is a morning routine that helps them get into a state of non-thinking and flow. It helps you build momentum in a positive direction immediately when you wake up so that it's easier to stay in that state of non-thinking for the rest of the day. An object in motion will stay in motion. I never understood why spiritual masters and all great leaders have a morning routine until I understood the power of non-thinking and momentum. Here's the good news. Now that all of your energy isn't tied up into thinking anymore, you can now use this freed up energy and channel it into creating new goals from inspiration to fuel and propel you into the new life full of peace, joy, and love. I find this the best chapter so far. Yes. Any takeaways? Anybody wants to share anything? What points did you learn from this chapter? क्या समझा? Champali? Yes. Okay, anybody else? In the meanwhile, she doesn't want to talk. I've given her access to unmute. Anyone else? First,